Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to teach you how to do this charcoal and chalk pastel drawing of a succulent. I'm very excited about this because we finally get to work with chalk pastels in color, and you can see how fun it is to get the lights and the darks and to create that form. So let's get started. Okay, so although this is a color picture of a succulent, we will still start with black and white. And so this project will begin exactly like the hen, exactly like the cow. We've got our broken piece of willow charcoal, and we're gonna put this all over the paper. Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Get that all turned into a blackboard. And I'm not pressing with all my might, I'm just building it up by using repetition. If I press really hard right away, sometimes there can be natural cores or like knot holes in the wood and it can scratch the paper. So I like to just kind of coax it on gently instead of trying to press with all my might. All right, and then I'm gonna rub it around with my gloved hand. Push it in all four corners. I'm going to use my paper towel and scrunch it up and go in circles to really push it into the tooth of the paper again. And we've gotten rid of that white paper and we've created a nice surface that is erasable just by our finger. All right. And then I'm going to find the middle in a different way this time. I have trained you so well. But this one is a succulent that has radial symmetry. So I don't need to know where the middle is on the tape so much. And so instead we are going to do something new and we're going to join the corners, and guess what happens when you join the corners? You find the middle. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so right there in the middle, I'm going to erase the middle. And I'm going to start off by putting a right triangle right there in the middle. That's the tiniest leaf in our succulent. And next we're going to make another little leaf that comes on the hypotenuse of that triangle like that. And then we're going to put a little triangle on the side over here. So what we have is we have a straight line that we're putting two sides on to make a triangle. And then here's this straight line we put two sides on to make a triangle. Okay. And then we're going to put two sides, but instead of making a triangle, it's going to reach on like that because it's going to start spiraling a little bit as it goes around. So this one is not a triangle. See how it's a little different? Which is kind of interesting. Because now we're going to start at this point up here. Looks like an envelope, kind of. Yeah, we're going to start at this point up here, but we're not going to go there. We're going to go to there because it has to get bigger. All right, so there it is getting bigger, and I'm just erasing my helping lines as I go along. So now I'm going to go from here, and, oh wait, I need another one of these on this side. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start there and do like bigger. Okay. All right. This is looking cool. Okay. So now I'm going to start here, but I'm going to stop up here like this. So it's a bit of a pattern. It's probably one of those Fibonacci sequences or something cool like that. But it's not enough that I can like stop thinking about succulents and just start drawing and go all the way around and get it right. So I recommend that you still kind of pay attention as we go around this, because you saw me almost get off a couple times. I'm going to erase that one, because remember these are two, so one's there and one's there. So yep. Okay, next I can start over here on this side, and I'm going to stop like this. I'm going to go out and back to there. There we go. Yeah. All right. And so now I'm going to start here, and it's going to start getting a little point on it as the petals open up. because the petals are opening up, and it's going to look a little more recognizable as a succulent that you've maybe seen. Yeah, right, right. Okay. All right, and then sometimes we get some little gaps. And that's okay to have gaps. And you see I'm bringing them kind of to little points when I come out there to get that side. Yeah, okay, some over there. Now I need one over here. And now I need one over here. This is kind of making me hungry for an artichoke. I mean, artichokes are a flower we can eat. And this kind of has that feel about it. Okay, I'm gonna skip a space. Yep. Yep. They're getting a little bigger as we go out, just a little bit. This is really cool. It's long before it curves on that one. All right, we've got that one. We need a long one over here. Got even longer. Right, and then we're going to need one there. Yep, yep, yep. Okay. And we need one more right here. Then we need a really long one there. Oops, I missed one. All right, so I had to tuck him in because I should have done that guy first. Would have been easier anyway. Okay, and we have a very long one that comes all the way over here, but he's kind of skinny. And then we have one there, erasing the lines. Got somebody going out there. There. Look now, we can't see the ends anymore. We just see the sides as they go off the space that we can see. Just super interesting because they overlap as they go. Doot, doot, doot. All right, we can see the radial symmetry. That is really awesome. I'm pretty pleased with this. And so now I'm going to take my compressed charcoal, the one that's kind of permanent, and I'm going to press pretty hard with this, maybe harder than I have on the other pictures, because I need a really strong line drawing of this in order to be able to color it and not lose things. So if I float my hand in the air, I can start in the middle. If I think I'm going to erase it with my hand, I should start on the side because then I could lay my hand down. But you'll have to kind of keep track of where you've been because it's black on black, so it's kind of hard to tell. So it can be easier to start in the middle if you can float. But if you can't, this is better than laying your hand on it. I'm trying to make sure that I've accentuated those little points. Maybe push it a little farther as I go. Just tracing everything. If you miss a line like I did just there, that's the new line now. So don't try to trace it twice. We don't need to have double vision. Did I get everything? I don't know. I hope so. All right. So now, if I have any little crumbs, I'm kind of shake those off so they won't dry. And then I'm going to lightly start wiping it off so I can see if I've missed any lines. Okay, looks like I'm good. Nothing vitally important went away. Okay, now certain parts of this plant are in the depths, and so they're quite dark. So like for instance right in here, I'm going to take some time and color like a dark black space in there for where that's a dirt or in the dark. There's no light down there, so I put that kind of on there. And then in here, I'm going to go in the middle between the two. Put a dark depth right in there. Yep. And I'm going to come over here to this one. Now this one is going to be more like a triangle, so I'm going to go like that to get the dark side there. And we're good over here and over here. The light must be really bright over on that side. Okay, and then we have some darkness here and some darkness there and some darkness there. Okay, this one. Aha, okay, then there's a really bold dark triangle there. Green. Ah, this space right here. So we're going to come in and get this really dark in that zone. This will provide more interest and depth to have these dark parts. And we're doing it now before we get involved in the other color, so we can really push it with our finger and kind of get it to calm down so it doesn't go places we don't want it to go. And then in here, let's see. Yep, pretty dark in there. I'm going to draw a little part and then this bottom side. Okay, that looks really good. I kind of feel like I want some darkness over there because there's so much darkness over here, but I guess the point is that the light's kind of shining this way. I don't know, but it just seems a little strange. But I don't know where I could force it over there, so I better be cautious, and maybe later an opportunity will arise to put dark over there. So we'll just stick with this for now, and I always like to let you know what I'm thinking about. It looks like I missed the point on this little one, so I'm gonna get that on now, and that one. All right, so we are ready to put delightful colors. All right, we have drawn our succulent with the charcoal and the compressed charcoal, and we're getting ready to put the colors on it. But before we do, we're gonna spray it. And the reason why we're gonna do this is it's gonna help that black to stay still so that the other colors show up brightly on the surface, and it'll keep some of the black from mixing into the colors that we have. If we need a color to be mixed with black, we will just add black again later. So here I am with my aerosol hairspray, unscented max hold, and we're gonna spray it across, up and down, around the four corners, and then leave it to dry. So we shouldn't draw on it right now. Make sure it's dry. And if your tape starts to come off, just take your tape off and put new tape on. All right, to the color in just a bit. Okay, our succulent has been sprayed after we did the charcoal. You'll notice that it doesn't really get too much on my hands when I rub anymore. It's thoroughly dry, and we're ready to do the delightful colors. I'm going to show you a little chart that I've made for us. We basically have a red, an orange, a yellow, a green, a blue, a black, and a very light color. And so the way that we've done that is we've ordered specialty colors. It kind of reminds me of like when you buy an outfit from Eddie Bauer. There'll be a red sweater and it'll say dark rose. And you could get the sweater in orange, but they call it rust. And then of course there's the yellow option, but ours is light ochre, or green, palm green, blue, Prussian blue, black, compressed charcoal, and we have very light gray. So just wanted to let you know, because when you look on the labels, these will be the names on the side on the right, and these are how the colors look. But they just basically fit into like these categories, and we should be able to do a lot of things with these colors and it'll turn out quite beautiful. I think the area where you might get the most confused is that the dark rose and the rust are very similar in their tone, but the rust is definitely more to the orange side than the dark rose one. And as I'm talking, I might go back and forth between red or dark rose. Just know I'm talking about the same thing as I go along. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to start in the middle again, because in the middle, only the tips, the little triangle tips, have the red color on it. So notice when you put it on, it goes on quite easily. This is a very soft buttery color. It's part of why I like this color red. Some of the other more intense reds are, well, they have a lot of glue or the pigment or something, but they're harder. They're like hard like a diamond, not more, well, it is more difficult too, yeah. So it's just a little bit better to have this one, and then you see the point it goes on. This is starting to fold over on that kind of envelope shape there, and they're sticking straight up instead of leaning back like that one was. And there's no real red there on the inside. So those have the points, and then as we go around, it's gonna start getting broader. So, and you can see I'm trying not to get on the black lines. I'm snuggling up right next to the black lines, but I'm trying not to cover them. And I'm starting at the middle, so eventually I'm gonna not wanna lay my hand in it, because this is just as dusty as the chalk pastels. And so now all the rest of them will have red all next to the pointy part of these petals. So you can just go ahead and kind of color in the red next to the pointy part. So here we go. Around, around. And good exercise for our shoulders as we don't rest our hand down on those. Getting those delightful red or dark rose tips on there. So if you're watching this video years later and you don't have these particular colors, pretty much any red, orange, yellow, green, blue, black, and very light color should work for this. So don't worry if you don't have these exact same colors. And even if you have a different name brand, that's all good too. So this is just a good introduction to these colors. You notice that this is shaped like a square, and I'm rubbing off. See how that whole edge is getting kind of worn off there? That's because I'm using the whole edge to create a stripe that's wide instead of a corner that would be a tiny little skinny point. So that way we're being generous with this color on the succulent, and I think it'll make the succulent look even nicer to have a more generous edge under there. And I just tilt my head a little so I can watch when it touches the paper, so I can see where I am. All right, I have made it all the way around, and we don't need any of that red color out here right now. So I'll put my red color away, and now I'm gonna start in the middle. And these ones I just have to kind of like touch it and very gently just kind of go back and forth just the littlest bit, because they're so small. But when I get to these, I can follow it. And don't worry about your black edges. We'll see those again in a little bit. I'm gonna try not to blend my finger over those black edges, but mostly I'm not going to be too fastidious about it right now, because if we don't have black edges in the end, I'm sure it would still look good. And I would rather do something twice than miss it. So if I get lost when I'm going around the circle and you're like, Miss Alayne, you already did that one, don't worry. rather do it twice than not get it. All right, so I'm pretty sure I've taken my finger and followed along the way on all of those. And so next, I'm gonna skip all the way to the green one. And it may feel a little premature because a lot of things are gonna be green, but actually this is gonna work out just fine. So the empty spaces now, I'm going to fill up with this color. Now there will be other colors eventually. It's not just going to be pink and green only. So if you like pink and green, just know another color will come. If you're like, oh my goodness, did a watermelon explode on my artwork? Then don't worry, another color will be here in a bit. So you can see I'm trying not to color over the pink. I'm just going right next to it, kind of like when you sew together a quilt. They're side by side. And I'm trying not to go over the black or the red, really. I'm just going right next to it. So I can leave a little hole. Also, I'm not pressing with all my might. If I press really hard, I'm gonna get a pile of dust on here, and I don't really want a pile of dust. So medium pressure, medium to light pressure is gonna be good enough for what we're doing. So get those all green. Okay, I have all of the green everywhere on the succulent where there was no black or there was no the dark rose or the reddish color. And I'm just gonna bring it a little closer to you. I haven't blended it yet, but you can see that there are some spaces kind of reminiscent of when we put brown on top of our oil pastels. We're not going to do that with chalk pastels, by the way. It does not work with chalk pastels. But there are some spaces that I didn't color thoroughly. You can see the gray of the charcoal on the paper kind of shining through. And that's okay. That's good enough. So now I'm going to take one finger and kind of follow the shapes, each individual shape, and push that into the spaces. Now when you come to an edge like this, don't blend across because it'll go away. Instead, pick up your finger and move to the new section so that we don't get it. See how it gets on the black? And if you get on the black like that, you can just rub a little harder to get it off with a clean finger. Because our goal is to blend this in without making these little lines go away. So blend, blend, blend. And all of those. Right, these little ones are a little trickier, right? So kind of follow that shape. Shape. Okay. And my finger has a lot of this green on it, so now my finger is kind of like a crayon or a chalk pastel for any space that has no color. I can put that right in there. I'm just gonna keep blending. All right, I'm all finished blending, and now I'm gonna get the Prussian blue color. This is a dark blue, and we get to use it to do some shading, and it'll look more interesting than just having the green only. So I'm gonna start down here in this corner and get like a little kind of V shape and color above the V to the next petal and blend that in. And it'll look like it stands out like a sore thumb at first because it's the only one, but as we go around, it'll make sense. Now this little side over here gets it. I'm gonna move up to this one and go like this and color inside kind of like that zigzag. Now you'll notice this one feels harder. It's not as buttery and soft and smooth. So you're gonna have to press even more gently, because if you press hard with something that's hard, it'll crumble instead of going on darker. You wanna coax it on gradually, and that'll be better to keep you from having a lot of striping. So you'll just be more successful. I'm gonna go like this and like this and gently coaxing that on there. And it's because it's hard that we put that palm green on first, so we could play in it by putting this on top of it. So the other color is our butter color that's nice and smooth. And it's funny because this is blue, right? But it's a green blue. And because of the green color being so on the yellow side, that's why it mixes and makes this really nice dark green. I like how it makes a dark green. It's very fun. Okay, we have very little shadows up there. They're kind of far away, probably being cast from something else. We have a little edge on that one. And, oh, let's go inside of here now. Kind of that shape. Color it in. Yep, and let's keep going around before I go in there because I don't want to lose you in the middle. Let's go the edges first. Okay. Above him like that. And all the way in. And gently coaxing that color on because it's so hard. And blending it in. Okay, and then we're going over. This one also has kind of looks like a K or an R on that one. Yep, this one has it more down, over, up. This one has it right inside, the very middle. This one has it in a little kind of dip. This one has it in a little dip too. This one has it up there. We did that one when we were on that side. This one comes down where they join. So down in there and almost the whole thing on that one. So it's a lot of shadow in that one. Okay, this one has it over here. Good little dip. Has it here and down in the little crevice down there. Okay, this one has it here. This one has it close in, like that. And the trick is to try not to get lost when we go around these, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go this way, put a point over there. Okay, and then we're down in this one. This one just comes across like that. This one has a shadow down inside, even though we got the divot at the top. We're going to get that one now. This one is on the left. This one is down inside, like a little rainbow. This one is down inside, like a little like a wide, short rainbow. This one is down like a white rainbow. And then we're close down in the little crevice on this one. So mostly just a little line down there. And one there. This is on the left. And then in the very middle where we have this triangle over here, we're actually going to cut it in half. And that'll be quite dark, so it counts like a right triangle. All right, we have made it all the way around with that color. Okay. With the shadows in place, now we're gonna get our very light gray because we're gonna get some highlights in place. And I'm gonna start in the middle again. These two triangles here in the very middle, they're very much in the shadows, so we won't be doing anything on those guys, but there's a little bit of reflected light coming around our tips here, so we get to lay them in. And remember, the first marks in the lightest color require a bit of courage because they stand out more than they will at the end. It's just because they're first, and so they stand out a lot. And as we go along, they will be less intense. They'll fit in. They'll be more like them. And so it will be more normal. This time I'm going to add a little, I'm using the side, the square side, and I'm using a little stroke to get some light part there. And this will not happen anywhere it's dark, so you won't see me putting this on top of that Prussian blue, for instance. And it's soft like a spider web, so that you can see through it. It's ethereal like a cloud when I do it on the side like that. Notice after I traced a line on the pink that there was a little pink in this dust. That's fine. That looks good actually. So don't get fastidious about those colors when that occurs, because more colors is more fun. So don't let that get to you. You'll notice that it tends to be where the light is coming across these that I'm using this really pale gray color to create that contrast of the nice hot summer sun on this succulent. There is a line here. We have two shadows and then there's a line there. So I know that seems counter to what I just explained, but it'll be good. Okay, and back here, we got some softness here. And let's see, a little bright edge here. There. There. And here. Oh, and right here. All right, so we got that light bathing across there. We might use it again in a minute, but that's probably good for now. Let's get our yellow involved. Now, yellow ochre is quite opaque, so just plain yellow would be translucent. You could see through it even in a chalk form, but the yellow ochre tends to have some white in it, so you can see it is quite bold and can stand up to the other colors we have here. So we've got those coming in to create these lovely edges that are lighter on these guys, and even down here. So we've got them unfolding with color. So these tend to be out where the pink is to create those edges. It's almost where like the pink didn't go all the way down into the green, and it gets that kind of like lighter edge on the side. And it just looks really nice. So it's really fun. It kind of reminds me of like a really elaborate like mosaic floor or something, to have these nice lines of color side by side and working its way from the middle out. It's very pleasing. It gets those edges on there. It's not just about dark and light, it's about the color too with the yellow. So it looks nice on there. Get these edges on this side. Right, and you notice I didn't rub those. I've stopped with the rubbing. Once I got the Prussian blue shadows in, that was the last thing I rubbed, was those Prussian blue shadows. These are just gently on top, so I don't need to do any more blending or rubbing. Our rusty orange will help us with our points. So we're going to come in and get these bold points. So I'm using this kind of motion, pushing out the points. So and inside. All right, that looks great. Oh, it looks so good. Okay, we've used all our colors. We're going to get our compressed charcoal back. And we want to be careful that we don't go crazy with this compressed charcoal, because you can undo some of the delightful darks and lights that you have. So I'm just going to start here in the middle and do some gentle little sketching lines around these middle parts that are down here in the depths. All right, so let's see. Let's Let's bring the camera close. So I'm not gonna go way out to the outskirts. I'm trying to get this middle part to look like it's folded on itself more in there. So here I am right inside, and see, I'm building up the color and that shadow and keeping that very dark middle. So it's not going to keep going out, out, out like we were drawing it. This is more about shading it. You can see my technique is to just kind of sketch that in. And I'm starting to get far enough out that it's not going to be as dark out there. So these are just, so don't keep going, because then it won't have that opening up effect. You want it to look like it's opening up. And so the reason it's darker is these are standing up. They're like standing up like this. And these are, as they go, they're laying down like that. So as these stand up like this, the light can't get down in there because light comes from all over. Whereas the ones that are laying flat, the light can kind of come across. So that's the rationale behind why it's shaded in this way, is these are the ones that are standing up, so they're shorter. It's got some foreshortening happening. Okay, I think we got it. That looks really good. All right, so it's back out again, and you can see our beautiful succulent. Oh, that looks so nice. And how very colorful it is, but you can still tell that it is a plant. And we are going to spray it again. All right, it's all finished and we're ready to spray it. So I have it, and again, we're gonna go across, up and down, and around the four corners, and leave it flat to dry.